to another episode under the playlist name Ransomware TTPs. So we gained 8-bit and Acura, so they have a same different, especially in data destructions, persistence, and privilege escalation, and the discovery. So 8-base mostly use the traditional ways to persistence execution, but actually the Acura use some more advanced mechanism to defense evasion, to exfiltration data, to lateral movement, to conditional access, and so on. So let's back to another group. It's called AL. ALPHV. Yeah, ALPHV. So this tool, this ransomware group, they are based on hours eye detection. They are close to 8-base, the traditional method for persistence, maybe for privilege escalation, but in a valid account, they are close to Akira. So we are mentioned it in our beginning playlist episodes. Most of the ransomware groups, like they are like most of the remote access Trojan tools, they are trying to copy technique and tactics and procedure from each others. Maybe they make some difference, some custom tools, some deep researching from their labs, the research labs to have a high privilege. I mean, levels inside the operating systems easily bypasses. VM and sandbox and virtualized environment and the other stuffs. So let's start to schedule tasks, command and scripting, software deployment tools, and native API. Okay, so the schedule tasks, they are I mean close into 8-base. They are put something into the schedule, put the payload into schedule, base it on the time zone of the victim. They trying to execute initial payloads, trying to execute the backdoors. Okay, so that's close into 8-base. Again, trying to use a PowerShell, maybe VBA, Visual Basic, CMD, maybe Python, JS, maybe Lua, and the other CLI stuffs, WMI, Windows Instrument, Windows Management Instrumentation. So because it's scripting stuffs. So again, this groups IPHLV, ILP sorry, use a PowerShell maybe for dropping payload, maybe for real execution, maybe for as downloaders, and maybe for disabling AMSI, disabling Windows Defenders, firewalls, and the other stuffs. Software deployment tool. So trying maybe use centralized software suites and abuse it. Let's get more information about it. To have like a supply chain. It's like a supply chain. Use another software, okay, another software to this exploitation. That's a main of this technique. For example, in here we have information. McAfee EPO to move literally by disrupting malware as a software deployment task. So they trying to, there are some kind of a supply chain attack. Again, native APIs for maybe loading shellcode, injection the DLL, anti-debugging, and other stuffs. For example, shell execute, okay, check debugger stuffs, and HTTP open request 8 for downloading and network related stuffs. Create help 32 snapshot for enumeration and some kind of a process injection. So they're using a native Win32 API for a malicious purpose. Related to persistence, again using schedule tasks, valid account to maintain persistence. Again, startup, server software component, Let's try to check it. Actually, valid account, that's mean you are maybe you are employee inside the company. So this groups or threat actor deploying maybe info stealer at the first stage and input the capture, get hold of the employee credentials, and then using this valid account to get a persistence, create another account, stealing data, and another stuff. As we mentioned, schedule tasks, putting this pilot into the schedule. Using start tab, run once, or startup folders, or through temp folders, each time the computer restarting itself or turn on, turn off, the malware start running itself again. So this one, it's not like a scheduled task. Because scheduled tasks have a, you can imagine scheduled task like a kill date and start date. And related to privilege escalation, same 8 base and scheduled tasks, valid account, access token manipulation. Okay, I think Akira, no, Akira doesn't, but I mean, yeah, the 8 base uses the same technique. Let's try to find another technique. Yeah, this one, abuse evaluation control mechanism. This technique. So actually, this technique uses a mechanism to get a high privilege. Okay, for example, using maybe, let's try to find that's using native API maybe for get a high privilege. I think there are other ones like a component installer. Using this one is another mechanism actually. And for defense evasion, they try to use obfuscate or encode the file, masquerading to look like being legitimate. So actually, based on our investigation, the ALPHV, they are cross-related into the 8 base. Yeah, actually trying to encode it. Base64, ROAD, XOR, SHA-256 with the base64 and AES. So we have a sample that we decoded it through ChatGPT into writing a Python code, masquerading to look like a legitimate executable file. And for conditional access, again, same Akira, trying to dampen hashes. But that's one of the this technique and security conditional. This one trying to search for common password. So it's like a password spraying, okay, or brute forcing. Okay, they try to brute force the specific protocol or collecting the password from the operating systems and then connect it into this specific services for lateral movement maybe. And security conditional, trying to search for compromised systems, or maybe checking for conditional in registry, or maybe in leaks and the other stuffs, or maybe using external software like a Nearsoft or Google Password Recovery, Firefox Password Recovery, and FTP Password Recovery tool, deploy it as scripting, and then retrieve a password. So that's been unsecured conditional. So actually they use maybe external software or utility inside the operating system itself to get a conditional again. For example, like a bash history, that's a command line to see your command line is, for example, employee trying to connect it through SSH through command line is, and to get it because it's stored into the bash history. Okay. So there are one different ALPHV only using virtualized and sandbox evasion. So there are no lateral movement. So actually we can say based on this TTPs, ALPHV maybe just they are thing group. Just for financial stuffs, not for targeted attacks, custom sized attacks, and randomized attacks. It's trying to using a sandbox evasion, maybe by checking uh, information about the CPUs, because when you are in VM and getting information about the computer in CPU, you mention VM, and checking for uh, analyst tools, sys internal suite, Wireshark, Fiddlers, DBG, Process Hacker, Process Explorer, maybe IDA, Ghidra, WinDBG, and other stuffs. So there are no collection. Oh, that's very weird. There are not collection. They are not collection in ALPHV, but they are only there are a lot of impacted, more than 8 base and Akira. So actually they are trying to data instruction destruction. Oh my god. Sorry. They are trying to data destruction, encrypt data, service stop. Okay. It's a some kind like a hacktivist. So actually, one of the bad stuff in a cyberspace, it's attribution. Okay, so actually, because they all have a different technique, so it's trying to service stuff. So actually, may stop service or disable service on the system to make it to make it unavailable. So like a DDoS attack, how you can try to attack the web servers to make it uh, to make it doesn't work. But actually this one, for example, Akira can stop running virtual machine and looks for attempted to stop data database. So actually they are using stopping services, maybe the business services and computer services. Inhibit system recovery, delaying shadow copy, Windows backup catalog, Windows recovery environment, shadow copies, and the other stuffs. And using for DDoS, I mean maybe the ALPHV have a botnet collecting the victims and using for maybe denial of service attack or TDOS attack or DOS attack. So actually, based on our final investigation, so I mean they are that's in some way ALPHV close related into 8 base, not Akira. So actually, let's start continuing our process until final groups.